At this time, we'll have Staff Sergeant Lillie M. Carter.
Oh my goodness. I'm coming behind all of these awesome enlisted and officers. I'm just wondering, why am I here? I just give God all glory and honor and praise. I am here, first of all, because I was invited. Secondly, I am here because I was the first female, African-American female technician to work full-time for the Arkansas National Guard as an accounting technician. Now let me just rewind just a little bit. Since I'm the last, I guess I'll have full 5 minutes also. Paul, I see you looking at me. I'm glad I know one person in here that I was in the Guard with. My story is somewhat different from everybody's story. I was recruited by the late Staff Sergeant Karina Taylor. And she said to me, "You ought to come join the Guard." I said, "The Guard? What for?" She said, "You know you in college, they can help pay for your education." I said, "Ooh, that sounds good." And then she said, "But you got to go to basic training." I said, "Basic training?" She said, "But yeah, it's going to be easy." I said, "Easy?" She said, "All you got to do is take a test, and I know you're going to pass it." So I took the test. And she said, "Guess what? You'll go to basic training for 15 days. I said, "No, 15 days, is that all?" She said, "We have a new program. It's called CASP. I'll never forget that word as long as I live. It was called AKA Civilian Acquired Skills Program. I don't know if they even have that anymore. So that program then, if you already had acquired skills, we didn't need you in basic training for 15 days. So guess what? I got on my first flight to Fort McClellan, Alabama. Oh my goodness, it was the bumpiest flight. I thought, "Lord, just let me get there and let me get back home." So I went to basic training for 15 days. And a few months later, and I was assigned to Company A, Admin, 39th Support Battalion. Okay, I'll never forget that either. And I was so proud to be in the Guard, and I would run across friends. "Oh, you're back so quick?" I said, "Yeah, I weren't even going. You can't be a soldier." I said, "Yes, I am. And I'm a proud soldier." And I was in A Company. I never will forget, we had a FTX, field training exercise, okay? You know, I'm pretty old now, I'm retired. But we went to the fields, out here, I believe, out on the firing range. And we got back to the armory, and I told Paul, I said, "Oh, I'm finished cleaning my weapon." He said, "No, you're not." I took the towel and I just wiped it down. But it did. So anyway, one of my years, I guess it was the year 74, the same year that I joined, it was at the end of formation. My first sergeant, who I will not call by name, he made an announcement. He says, "If anybody got 2 years of college, come see me after formation." So I went on up to see him. I thought, "Where is everybody?" Everybody had walked out. I thought, well, they must have 3 or 4 years, so I'm the only one with 2 years. So I went to see Sergeant, I'm almost calling his name. I went to see my first sergeant. And he said, "I need you to call this number and tell this man that I told you to call." I said, "What?" Okay, so I'm obedient. I'm a soldier. I'm a well-favored, high-ranking official here. So I made the call. It was a call to Camp Robinson. It was the HR, maybe it's called personnel back in the day, but I think it was called personnel. We call it HR now. And so I called him, and I don't remember his name at that time. So I called, told him who I was, and I told him who told me to call. Oh, then it was all right then. I was in good shape. So 3 days later, I had an interview. And 3 days later, I became an employee of Camp Robinson and started working at PFO, better known as USP&FO. And that's how it happened. I went to work as an accounting technician. I knew nothing about accounting. Yeah, they put an adding machine, you know, we have computers, we have technology now. They put an adding machine on my desk, and it was something called the 1510. You had to fill out all these, add up all these numbers. Anyway, I did pretty good. But I ended my career early in the National Guard. But I have to say this, while I was in the Guard, it was a wonderful experience to me. One might say, well, why is her experience so wonderful? Because somebody else had already paved the way for me. That's why I was so blessed. I went to one summer camp. Paul, you remember talking about me. I went to summer camp, and I spent my whole 2 weeks at EEO school. Somebody in my unit decided that's where I needed to be, so I went and I learned a whole lot. Then another summer camp, I went to human relations school. Paul, I just have to pick on you because you were on that journey with me. You were just one of the soldiers, okay? And I went to EEO school, and another time I went to recruiting school. I thought maybe it would be to be a recruiter, so I went to recruiter school, had to drive to Hot Springs in an Army vehicle. I guess that's what they call them now, I don't know. But anyway, I drove an Army vehicle, and when I took the exit to Hot Springs, I didn't realize that I had 27 or 37 more miles. I was so happy that I had made it to Hot Springs. Boy, was I blonde. Anyway, so I finally, there was no GPS, there was no MapQuest. Somebody just told me, this is how you get there. You're smart enough, Carter, you can get there. So I did. I made it to the Holiday Inn on Central Avenue at that time. That's where the recruiting school was. But I ended my career to continue my pursuit of education, which led me to become a middle school reading specialist, an elementary reading specialist, an acting principal, an assistant principal. But I am certain that my military experience prepared me. Oh, by the way, I went before the battalion board, was interviewed by all of these men dressed in, all their, stripes and everything, and stars, and, I forgot some of the major, lieutenant colonel, and all that, the gold and the silver. And I sat out there at Camp Robinson, I went before the battalion board. All these men, there weren't any women on the board. And I got a pretty high rating. I think it was the highest you could get was 10. I got some 8s, quite a few 9s, but I got 1 5. And guess what that was it? Artillery, because I knew nothing about artillery. I mean, and I was so proud of myself. So I was excited. I told my husband, I'm going to officer school. So I packed up and they told me when to report, and I came to this building where I spent my first night. This was OCS, I think. And anyway, I got up the next morning, I prayed, and I thought about the 2 babies that I had while I was in the National Guard. And I thought, wait a minute, something's wrong here. I'm going to give all this time to be an officer. What about these 2 little girls who didn't ask to be born? I was married to a minister. Now, he couldn't preach with both babies, I had to make a painful decision. It was the most painful decision because let me tell you something. I love it used to be the Arkansas Army National Guard, but I guess it's something different now. The Arkansas National Guard. I love the Army National Guard. Paul will tell you that I did. I loved it. I love going to Fort Chapman. I love getting on the helicopter. Can you believe me? I got on a Huey. And since I was in finance, 73 Charlie, we would ride the Huey all the way to Camp Robinson, and we do the payroll on the old machines. They don't have those anymore. They're antiquated. But I love what I did. But I had to make a decision. Being a mother was important. Being in the National Guard was important. But I thought that morning, time lost with raising my kids, I could never go back and get that time. And I had to make a decision. It was so hard to be a mother. So I chose to be a mother, and I got out of the Guard. But I continued on my career in education, as I said. And To be the first female, African-American female to work at USPNFO at Camp Robinson was great, but then there's one other thing. I was the first African-American female to be principal of Pulaski Heights Elementary for 23 years. Somebody said to me, someone said the year I got the job, this is, you know what, people are something else. Somebody said about me, but it got back to me. She won't last 1 year. They will eat her alive. Well, I did last. And the person that said that 15 years later brought their grandson to my school. I thought she was just visited. She said to me, I brought him here because you are here. And I know how much you love children. I know how much you want to see children succeed. So I brought my grandson here. See you later. I just once again thank all of you for your stories. You have touched my heart today. My story's not like yours, but I had a story. God